Everybody, it's Jeff Ortiz, the Love Big, Love Wide guy. And one of the things that people ask me when I'm working with them one-on-one as a licensed marriage and family therapist is how do I change? How do I get this process started? And one of the things I tell them is creating an awareness as to what life experiences they have been through that have developed a way of thinking, feeling, and behaving. Truly, it comes down to an awareness of how they have been impacted by certain things in their life. And not everything's been negative and traumatic. However, those do play a role in their current process, how they think and feel and act. But also, how they engage the positives, what they do to engage other people, and how they convey that message and how they connect with others. I know for myself, a lot of the negative played a role in my narrative and what I thought about myself, how I felt about myself, and how I felt the world looked at me. Growing up the heavy overweight kid and having a difficult relationship with my mother, it brought about a certain way of thinking and, not wanting to go to school, not wanting to go home, and having a difficulty connecting with people and not really looking at the gifts and the strengths that I have because I was afraid to let those out. And so I became critical and I compared myself to other people and different situations. And I did poorly at school, and that played a role. I got in a lot of trouble. And, that was just a reflection of what was going on inside. And so I encourage people to create an awareness of what your narrative, what your story, what that inner voice is really saying about you, and figuring out how to flip the script, how to change the script, how to look at life differently, and most importantly, how to look at your gifts and your strengths as a motivation to pull ourselves out of that negative narrative. But awareness, in my opinion, is the first step in creating that desire for change. And so, I think maybe a step before that would be, being tired. Like I was tired of being critical of myself, being critical of others, and comparing myself. And so just wanting a change in my life and having that desire was the step before, but then the awareness comes right after. And after we develop the awareness, it brings about clarity as to why we do what we do. And then we get into that transition of, trying to get into action of how we're gonna change, and what's that gonna look like, and what does that say about me? Whether I want to take that old narrative or the new narrative, and really empower you to live in that authentic self, live in that person that you've always been, but maybe like myself, you're afraid to let it out, and live in vulnerability, not worrying about what other people are going to think and what they're going to say about you. Look, there's people out there, you can be positive and loving and kind and caring and changing the world, but there's still going to be people out there like my old self that are going to be critical and compare and look at the things that you don't do, look at the things you don't do well, or critique how you dress, critique how you speak, critique all these different things about you. Is going to happen. That's never going to change. But the one thing we can change is how we look at ourselves, and decreasing the value we put on other people's input and focusing on our passion and our purpose, and recognizing that we have a desire to connect with people. And when we do that, when we start to look at that desire, things change. We're going to change, and our perspective's going to change. So first step, creating that awareness and identifying what factors have played a role in how you think, you feel, and you behave in your present day life, and figuring out how to change those. So I'm going to start giving away a lot of stuff for free. You know why? Because I care about you. And so I want you to incorporate these messages to help facilitate a change that you're looking for, because that's what's the most important. And as you start to change, the world around you changes. And when the world around you changes, it's a beautiful place, and one that you truly can enjoy and be happy living in. I'll talk to you soon, guys.